This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Good morning. Thanks for hopping on. Arkansas and the Bearcats. What do you expect out of Saturday's game? What are you really sinking your teeth into this matchup?
Well, yeah, good morning. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys. How each team's going to respond to basically the hype that's on them. I think openers are always fascinating because there's something that happens that surprises the other team. You know, the other team gains some kind of advantage, whether it's a big play or maybe even a score, and then you have to adapt on the run. And Sam Pittman has referenced that several times in the last week. That, you know, and that's basically the genesis of the iced tea and liquor comment was, you know, what are teams going to do? How can we adjust and improve and, you know, and then get the advantage on them somehow? So the reference he's made is the LSU game. They show up down there and they're getting cover zero. I mean, they're sending the kitchen sink at them. And, you know, honestly, if not for KJ's escapability, getting out of that blitz and finding Dominic Johnson wide open and a couple of other plays, Arkansas might not win the game because LSU threw something at them that they had to deal with the entire game. And so what is Cincinnati going to do in that regard? How much pressure are they going to send? How much does Arkansas have to protect or possibly max protect? And then, you know, what is Arkansas going to do that causes Cincinnati trouble? So I think that chess match is a huge part of this. And, you know, honestly, I've been looking at this matchup inside and out, and I just think on paper, I think Arkansas's got a slight edge. And being at home plays into that and some other things. Can they take advantage of that? You know, are they the team that stays on the field, converts its third and shorts? Are they the team that hits them with a big play or, you know, scores a touchdown in some unexpected manner? So, I don't know. I love football. I love the fact that there's so many moving parts that have to mesh together to make plays work. And I think Saturday is going to be a whale of a season opener.
Evan Prater, Ben Bryant, those are the two potential quarterbacks Arkansas could see on Saturday. Who gets the start, Tom?
Well, the guys I've talked to feel like Bryant is the guy who's going to get the nod. You know, he started all last year at Eastern Michigan, decent numbers. The TD to INT ratio wasn't great, I think 14-7, but he passed for more than 3,000 yards. He's a willing rusher too, but I think he ended up with a pretty minimal running last year at Eastern Michigan. However, I think if they go 2 or 3 series and don't have a lot going on, then you're probably going to see Prater. And is that the kind of thing that gives Arkansas issues, you know, with containment and, you know, who can track down this fast quarterback? So even though Luke Fickell has said, I believe he's basically said, we have a plan, and not necessarily to play 2 quarterbacks, I think they'll clearly go to it if need be.
Sam Pittman talked yesterday about not putting the pads on yesterday and taking it a little easier in practice. He said he didn't want to be soft, but he wanted to be smart. What were your thoughts when you heard that comment from Sam Pittman yesterday in the days leading up to this first game?
Well, you want your locker room to be, you know, on board with the way you're handling everything, and I think it's probably a smart move to have the players in a good frame of mind. He said practices on Monday and Tuesday were super physical. And I don't know, they've been able to strike some type of balance on being very physical, but yet not tackling to the ground, really, in this camp, other than in some individual drill work. Yeah. He said the thudding that they do is actually tougher. You have to get yourself in better position than to actually tackle. So that's going to be a component of this game worth watching. How well does Arkansas tackle? How well does Cincinnati tackle? Because 5-6 years ago, you'd have seen a considerable bit more of tackling to the ground in camp, and they just haven't done a lot of that.
You know, players will tell you sometimes the soreness the second day after, you know, contact and all that is the worst, and I'm sure they're trying to time it up where everybody's bodies feel as good as they're going to feel possibly going into Saturday. So I'm sure that's part of the calculus here in making these practice plans.
That's absolutely what they're up to. Look for peak performance.
Yeah.
What have our studies shown in amount of heavy physical activity and then rest? And so everybody's hydrating right now, and you're aiming for that peak performance. And he was vague about the names, but it sounded to me as if Brady Latham is going to be in position to start at left guard, and that Jaden Hazelwood is going to be in position to start in the slot. You talk about things I'm interested in. Who does KJ go to in games? We know he's going to throw balls at Trey Knox. We get the sense that he's going to really like Jaden Hazelwood and the things he does out of the slot, things they do to get him open. And who else? Does Matt Landers get open deep? Does Malik Hornsby take some reps at receiver and get something done for you there? And plus, we know they want to be physical and run the ball. I think the game plan is to try to pound on them, keep the ball on the ground to a good degree, and make Cincinnati's safeties start coming up, and then try to take advantage over the top. But we know from 2 years' worth of experience that Kendall Briles has done a really good job at seeing what defenses are trying to do to you, and then finding ways to make them pay.
Tom, if you win the coin toss, what do you think Sam Pittman will want to do, and what would you do if you had your choice of taking the ball or deferring to the second half?
I think he's gone back and forth a little bit on this, depending on conditions and all kind of different factors. And I cannot remember who won the coin toss for Texas, but it wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to go the same direction as what happened in the Texas game. A lot of times coaches will want to be on defense first, set the tone, make sure you're going to have the second half kickoff, things like that. But other times, if you feel like you got some stuff in your arsenal, you can score first. You take the ball and try to get on top and kind of get them behind the eight ball. So I don't know. I think he's gone back and forth, and I'm not sure what he would do.
Yeah, I don't want to read too much into it, but it does give you some insight into which side of the ball maybe they feel better about, at least for that game or that matchup that day. So, I don't want to overanalyze the results of the coin toss and the coach's decision, but I do think it gives you a glimpse into what they think about both sides of their team.
I think it does, and even if it's just a snapshot for that moment, for that one game, people are going to pay a lot of attention to this defense. Can they hold up? Sam thinks that Cincinnati is just going to try to run the ball on them because they were such a great run team and they have a veteran line. Can these D tackles we've heard so much about in camp hold up? Are they going to have the depth? Are the DNs able to hold their gaps? Because they are, in some ways, unproven in terms of big stats. So, the same holds for Cincinnati. If they win the toss, what will they choose to do? So we will find this out in a couple of days.
A couple college football questions for you this morning, Tom. Did you see the story from Dennis Dodd about the potential college football playoff expansion? They're meeting Friday and could, as early as 2024, go to 12 teams.
I did, and you would think we would have heard a little bit more rumblings about, will a vote be taken? Does something have momentum in terms of the format? And so, it would be a little bit surprising to me if we find out tomorrow that, we have a format for 24. But honestly, the way things have gone in college football the last 2 to 3 years, nothing would surprise me anymore. And I think it's a matter of inevitability. It's going to be expanded at some point, and it's really just a matter of who gets the invitations, how they sort those things out. 12 would be pretty big. When you think about the terms of the length of the season, 12 would be a huge number. But I think whatever they want to do next, whatever they try to do next, they want it to be something that holds some permanence, at least for a couple of decades, I would think.
Tom, I know your pregame is going to consist of getting there early and monitoring who's on the field, who's going through what drills. You're not going to really get a chance to watch the early games. But for the night games that you might get to watch the second half of after you write your story or two, are you going to be more focused on Ohio State, Notre Dame, or is the Utah and Florida game in Gainesville going to catch your eye a little more?
Well, when is the Georgia-Oregon game?
2:30.
I have not looked up.
Same time.
What?
Same time as Arkansas, 2:30.
Oh, gosh. I would like to have seen that game in its entirety, so I might have to tape that one. But honestly, I'm a flipper. if there's a close game, if a team's in scoring range, I will flip games. Both of those hold great interest to me as an AP voter. I was not somehow it slipped my mind, or I didn't see it, that Utah opens at Florida, and Utah is so highly regarded. Could be the class of the Pac-12 this year, and they have to open on the road. And I think it's a whale of a challenge to go down to Florida. So I will definitely spend time looking at that game too, as well as Ohio State, Notre Dame, and that's going to be a lot of late-night recap watching on Saturday.
Well, we'll leave it there, Tom. Get some rest before Saturday, and we'll talk again and recap it on Tuesday.
I like the sound of it. Y'all have a great weekend.
All right, Tom Murphy with us here on the Morning Rush.
Is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BELIEVE, BLEAV 50. That's BELIEVE, BLEAV 50. Bet online, where the game starts.